The new motor mounts are in, but I'm not ready to hit the road yet. Remember, I told you the next phase of this rolling restoration would be to get the car in a position where I can drive it safely at speed for a certain length of time to really determine the condition of the engine, transmission, and drivetrain. But right now I've got a problem with the brakes, so I'm not going to hit the road and drive it at 70 miles an hour with brakes that go almost to the floor. So I've got Jerson in the car. We're going to do the preliminary brake test. We're going to see if each one of these spins, and while they're spinning, I'm going to have them hit the brake. Okay, hit the brake. Are you pushing on the brake? Push harder. Okay, that brake's not working. Let's try the right front one. Okay, release the brake. Okay, it's spinning. Okay, hit the brake. Oh, all right, release. Hit the brake. All right, what this shows us is if it spins freely, it means the caliper's not dragging. And if it grabs when he hits it, okay. So this one's good. Now we're going to go over to the other side real quick. I'm just going to do the left front one. Okay, hit the brake, release. Hit the brake, release. All right. That one's okay. Both front ones are braking hard and releasing okay. Let's try the left rear. Okay, release the brake. All right. Look at it spinning nice. Look at that. Okay, hit the brake. Come on, Jerson, push. He's pushing, but nothing. Absolutely not. This is spinning. So we have a problem here with both rear brakes, and that's what we're going to focus on first. You know, when you have this type of brake problem, one of the first things you want to do is go check the fluid in the reservoir. I'm looking at it, and you know, it's a little bit higher in the front here than it is in the back, but it's not empty. This is a twin chamber tank. This is a split system for safety. So the front brakes work out of one chamber and the rear brakes work out of the other. Now there's one of two things that's probably wrong with this. It's not the calipers. It's either going to be a bad master cylinder or it's going to be air in the circuit going to the rear brakes. Maybe this leaked down and the previous owner added some fluid, but when he added fluid, he did not purge the air out, and of course the air worked its way down to those calipers, and they're not activating. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the pressure brake bleeder on this, and we're going to do a quick bleed of the air out of the rear brakes before we do anything else, just to make sure it's not just air in the brake lines. You can see here I've hooked up my pressure bleeder tank, put about 1 liter of fluid in it, pumped up pressure slowly just to make sure there's no leaks. You want to do this, build pressure slowly to make sure there's no leaks in that brake master cylinder reservoir. And once you've determined that up to about 5 psi, then go ahead and crank it up to 15 psi. Now we can go back to those rear calipers. There are two things I really like about doing pressure brake bleeding. Number one, it's very gentle on the master cylinder. It's not going to damage old seals by pump bleeding. And the other thing is it's a one-man operation. Notice I don't have anybody helping me. I've got pressure up there, and my master cylinder cannot drain down when I'm doing this. And now I'm just going to open up the bleeder fitting, and I do have fluid and I do have bubbles. Okay. You can see it comes into this preliminary chamber. Here you can see the air. See that? You can see that air working out of the system. So I'm just going to keep letting this run. I'm going to fill it to about 1 inch in the bottom of this capture tank. You can see how dirty the brake fluid is. It's really dirty. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. I'll tighten that down, pull off the hose. Now I'm going to go over and do it on the other side. All right, there comes the fluid. I'm looking for massive air here. That one's not bad. I'm just going to let it flow through a little bit more. I don't want to waste too much brake fluid here, because if this doesn't work, of course, I'm going to have to probably change the master cylinder and do the flushing procedure all over again. So I'm going to close it off now. And I'm going to go get Jerson, and let's see. I need somebody in the car pushing on that pedal while I check whether or not those calipers are clamping down on the disc. I'm going to try this without putting the wheel on. Let's see how it spins. Okay, it's moving. Okay, Jerson, hit the brake. Whoa, look at that. Release. Hit the brake. Ah. How's the pedal feel? Does the pedal feel pretty good?
Yeah.
Let's try the other one. Okay, it's moving. Go ahead and hit the brake. Oh, look at that. Release. Hit the brake. Oh, baby. All right, I'm not saying here that I've got 100% brakes, but knowing I've at least got four-wheel brake, this is good enough for me to take this car on a road test. I'm happy we were able to get those rear brakes working. And with the car still up in the air like this, I decided, you know, maybe there's 3 or 4 more things I need to do before I drop it down. Because once I drop it down, we're going to do those fuel injectors, and then we're going to hit the road. And I went after the exhaust system. You saw that baling wire hang on there. We couldn't stand that baling wire. And so we got rid of that. We installed the new exhaust donuts. And watch here, I made a modification to help with the performance output on this engine. You know, when it comes to peak performance in these old Mercedes turbo diesel engines, it's the little things that count. They all add up. Any type of exhaust restriction needs to be eliminated. Besides, I can't stand the looks of that. So we're going to relieve this pipe a little bit so it doesn't look so ugly when you walk behind the car. I'm just kidding. This isn't going to make any difference other than mental, okay? This is part of my Dutch heritage showing up here. Okay. Oh, one more right there. All right, that's going to add at least 5 miles an hour to top end speed on this baby. Okay, there's a few other things I want to show you. Oh, I need to mention something about running around with your exhaust system wired up or not on donuts. There are a couple things that can happen. On the turbo diesel engines, you lock that potential for movement down, you're going to break that flexible downpipe coming off the exhaust manifold. If you have a 240D or a 300D non-turbo, you can crack the exhaust manifold. So don't ignore your exhaust donuts, and don't wire this up with baling wire, okay? There's another job underneath that I thought I was going to have to attend to, but it's already been done. This thing has a brand new screen installed in the bottom of the fuel tank and a new outlet hose. So I don't have to do that. That's kind of nice. But I did have to fix the shift bushings, and that was a pain, okay? Trying to get up in there. It's a good thing we got the special tool and the bushings and the grease to get up in there and get new shift bushings installed. Now take a look at how nice the shifter works in old Spence here. And the final thing I want to do before I drop the car down is check out that oil leak by the oil filter housing. I did go down under there, I cleaned it, I tightened up the banjo bolt, it was a little loose, I tightened up the fitting for the oil pressure line, and I'm just going to have to drive it, because that's the only way you can find an oil leak. You got to thoroughly clean it, drive it for 5-10 minutes, come back and immediately see where it's weeping out. So I think I'm good. I don't need to do any more work under the car to make this reliable for a lengthy road trip. I want to give it an Italian tune-up. I want to exercise that engine. But hopefully tomorrow, if I get some help in here, I'm going to pull those fuel injectors and rebuild them. And I'll show you how the whole procedure works. And then, we're all waiting for that moment, aren't we?